Hello, and welcome to the final 2 weeks of our course, weeks 7 and 8. Let me begin by saying how much I've enjoyed interacting with each and every one of you in this course. I have appreciated how engaged you've been and sharing your wonderful thoughts and ideas and comments. So I wish each of you the best of luck, and I hope I get to see you again. For the final 2 weeks, you will be looking at controversies 9, 10, 11, and 12 in these 2 weeks. What is the future of Social Security? And how is the concept of retirement going to be changing, or will it be changing moving forward? The third is, who are these aging boomers that are coming into the retirement years? Who are they and what do we know about them? And what about the aging marketplace? So let me just begin with a couple of comments related to Social Security. Social Security is a very important program for the elderly because it actually prevents many elderly people from falling into poverty. It provides a monthly income for people who have paid into the system. We are on a system that's basically considered a pay-as-you-go, which means those of us, such as myself, who are paying into the system are actually supporting the people ahead of me who are getting retirement benefits. So my contributions are paying for the generation ahead of me. Your contributions will be paying for my generation, the baby boomer generation. And back in the 1980s, Congress realized that that system has some problems. And the problem is that in 2015, we had 2.8 workers for every retiree. In 2035, that number is going to go down to 2 workers per retiree. But if you rewind the clock even further, there was something in the neighborhood of 15 workers per retiree. So the number of workers that's supporting the retirees is going down. And so there are debates and controversies around what we might need to do to reform our Social Security system. How do we keep it sustainable? And what kind of modifications do we need to make? Back in the 1980s, the retirement age, the 1980s and the early 1990s, the retirement age actually decreased from 67 down to 62. But in 2001, the retirement age has started to increase again, and it will have risen by 32% by the year 2020. So the baby boomers who are getting into those retirement years are either electing to stay in the workforce and work longer for financial reasons, or they're electing to do so because they are not ready to retire or they fear the loss of the role that they have in the not having a role in life, retiring from work. So the boomers have already stated in their research that the boomers are going to work longer. So what does that mean economically? What does that mean for your generation? If people like me hang around a lot longer, what will be the job availability for new people coming into the workforce? So there's a lot of interesting readings on Social Security and retirement in those 2 chapters. Let's see. I want you to be sure to read reading number 47, Boomsday, because it talks about the perfect economic storm of all of these boomers who are going to hit retirement age all at basically the same time and will be dipping into the Social Security benefits. But there's one thing I want you to be sure that you understand. Social Security was never meant to be the only income or only source of income for baby boomers, or I'm sorry, for retirees. So there's a lot of misconceptions about that, oh, once I retire, I'll go on Social Security and I'll be just fine. So I want you to be sure to read that article. There are 2 concepts that I want you to be sure you understand. The first one is the generational equity, and the second is generational independence. Those are essentially two philosophies of how we should be supporting our Social Security system. The first is generational equity, which is the system that we have now, meaning that I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Generational equity means that each generation should be taking care of itself when it comes to Social Security. So baby boomers should be funding their own Social Security income versus having you funding our income. That is a new philosophy that is being put out there, that it's not fair to make your generation pay for me to be retired, which is the model that we have right now, which is generational interdependence. So interdependence is I'm dependent on your Social Security contributions. The generation ahead of me is dependent on me. So we have generational independence. So that is what interdependence, generational interdependence. That is the system that we have going right now. And there are others out there that believe that we should be morphing into a generational equity program, type of philosophy, which has its pros and cons. So understand what those pros and cons might be and start to formulate kind of your own thoughts about that, because that will be a discussion board topic of discussion for these next 2 weeks. Retirement, and is it obsolete? How will retirement be changing down the line for boomers? As I mentioned earlier, boomers have already said that they're going to be working later on into their career, so there will be some issues that will come along with that. And also because boomers are very driven population, and they're have a very large identification with their roles. They may not be as willing to step back in those roles as the generation before me was. And who are these boomers? Who are these people? Yes, it is true that we are the best educated generation of our time, but it's also true that we are not the healthiest. There is rampant obesity and diabetes and osteoporosis and diseases that could potentially cause some very long-term chronic health problems for this generation. So that's an issue. It's really your generation, quite frankly, that has more grown up with this idea of taking care of your body today, because what you do today, if you remember the life course perspective on aging, what you do today is going to affect and shape how you age. Well, speaking personally, when I grew up, fitness and eating right was really not a part of my family's dialogue. I grew up with a family of farmers, and so we ate meat and potatoes, and that was kind of the diet I grew up on. I was commenting to my sister the other day that I don't have one recollection of my parents ever going out and walking around the block. They were not very physically active people. So each generation kind of comes with its own set of values and belief systems. And so the boomers did not typically grow up with those types of values and belief system. We were very hardworking. We are very goal driven generation, and that has pluses, but it also has downsides as well. So I found all of the reading about the controversy of aging boomers and who we are very interesting. And then finally, we just kind of wrap up with the aging marketplace. And with all of us boomers getting older, the marketplace for anti-aging anti-aging products and things to stave off aging is really taking a hold, and people are becoming billionaires off of this topic of stop aging and prevent aging from happening and look younger and those kinds of things. So the marketplace is also a very interesting conversation. Um, the main part of these next four controversies that you will find appearing more frequently is the concept about Social Security. Because the marketplace is interesting, baby boomers and reading about us is very interesting, and retirement is interesting, but the Social Security issues that we face as a nation is very impactful. And there has been and will continue to be discussions about ways that we need to reshape our retirement system and our Social Security system, as well as our Medicare system, too. So pay special attention to the future of Social Security. That's all I have to say for wrapping up this course. And I truly appreciate, as I said, all of your contributions and all the best to you on your final exam. I know you'll do a great job. Thanks. Good luck.